Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Sonoma Raceway. Proud right now to be joined by A.J. Allmendinger, driver of the number 47 Kingsford Charcoal Chevrolet for JTG Doherty Racing. A.J., hometown race for you. You get to come back home and enjoy some time back here in Northern California. What's the one go-to thing outside of coming to the racetrack that you have to do when you come back here?
A lot of sponsor stuff. That's always the go-to thing. El Pollo Loco. God, I love El Pollo Loco. We need some of that out in Charlotte. So, yeah, that's always the go-to is El Pollo Loco.
Yeah, there's a big market for your sponsors, too.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's yesterday we came in early and went out to the Clorox and Kingsford plant out there in Pleasanton and, met some people and signed some autographs, kind of did a plant tour, so didn't get an opportunity to do that last year. So it's always a big race for the hometown sponsor for Kingsford and Clorox. And, for me being a hometown race, you want to go out here and perform, but, I just try to make it just like any other race. No more pressure, no less pressure. Just go out there and do all I can, and hopefully, my good enough is to win, and if not, try to get everything we can.
Good deal. We're going to open the floor to questions. So if you have a question, raise your hand. We'll get a wireless mic to you. We'll start in the back with Jeff, and then just state your name and affiliation.
Jeff Gluck from USA Today. AJ, a lot of people now are saying that you're the best current road racer in NASCAR. How do you react to that? Do you have that level of confidence? For me, I try to be at my best everywhere we go. My background is obviously road course racing, so it kind of leans towards that. Winning at Watkins Glen last year kind of helped that. But, the Sprint Cup Series is so difficult right now. I think there's been, 10 winners in the last 10 races here. So I know if we go out there and we're at our best and I do my job, we'll have a shot to win, and that's all I can ask for.
We'll go to Jenna, and we'll go right over here.
Jennifer, AP, AJ, I have two questions for you. The first one, obviously you got the win at Watkins Glen last year to get into the chase. How important do you view this weekend in terms of doing the same?
I know with the format, if you win, you're in the chase. Right now our team is just trying to get improve. The last kind of 6 weeks, 7 weeks, we've kind of lost our way a little bit. This is probably a great race to be able to get some momentum back at, knowing that we, like I said, if we go out there and we do a good job, we should have a chance to at least win the race or be in contention inside the top 5. The guys have done a fantastic job with the off week to really focus on this race car and get it better. But yeah, at the end of the day, I know what the prize is. I know if you win, you make the chase, and that's so important. But I try not to focus on putting the pressure on this race is do or die, or Watkins Glen is do or die, and if we don't, it doesn't happen. We just got to get better every weekend. I know that's kind of cliche, but right now that's really our goal. And if we go out here and we have a great run and build some momentum, that's all we can do. And like I said, for me, I just go try to drive my butt off, and if it's good enough, it's good enough. If not, it's not.
And my second question is, you keep saying we just want to get better, and that was sort of your mantra after the Watkins Glen win last year. Yeah, we made the chase, but we really need to make big steps and improve as a team. How far have you guys come, if at all, from last August to where we are now?
It's tough. I think we improved, and then everybody else improved more again, and that's kind of the nature with the smaller team is you're always trying to play catch up a little bit. We started the year really well, and I think we were 5th in points after 5 races. We had a couple of DNFs and we blew some motors a couple of weeks in a row. Crashed at Bristol running inside the top 10, and from there I wouldn't say panic set in, but we started trying different things. Okay, where have we lost it? And in a way, maybe we hadn't lost it. We just had bad results, and then we kind of got off track and we came full circle. So in the end, we know where we have to improve. We have the steps in place, the ideas in place, but it's not an overnight process either. So I think that's the biggest thing is it's not just we show up at, we'll say Kentucky really, because that's the next kind of oval track, mile and a half, typical race. And we'll have better cars once we get there, but
it's a process. So we have improved a lot, but the way the sport is, everybody else has as well. So we got to kind of keep stepping up our game. But in the end, what makes a race team is not all the positive, it's the negatives and how you deal with them. And I think over the last couple of weeks, that to me is what's the most positive is we've had to sit down and really look at each other and say, okay, we can fall apart or we can come together and be stronger. And our communication's probably the best it's ever been. So that's the positive I really take from it.
We're going to go right here, then back to Woody.
Jonathan Merriman, NASCAR.com. AJ, what carryover comes to this track from Watkins Glen? Do you use the same car you used last year? Is the setup similar? And what changes in your driving style with that track being a little faster than this one?
It is the same car. It's the same car we ran at both races, actually. We've definitely improved the car. As I said, my guys put a lot of detail, especially in the off week of going out there and looking at all the fine details. That's kind of what's hard when you're a smaller race team is a lot of stuff gets kind of lost in the cracks, and you're just trying to get to the car prepared as good as you can, but get the next car prepared and then get the next car for the next few weeks. Well, having that off week, they've really been able to focus on this car and improve the body a little bit, get a little bit lighter, all the stuff we need to do. But, really it's not carryover from Watkins Glen. We were fast here last year. In the end, I don't know if we had a race-winning setup, but there was stuff that I learned and we learned as a team to try to improve it. The setup we're at least going to start with pretty close. I don't know with the package how different motor-wise and aero-wise it'll be around here, but we're starting with the similar package we had last year when we had a lot of speed. So I think it's just more confidence from our team and myself knowing that we do the right things, especially at a place like this. We can go win the race. But, it's Friday. We got to see where we stack up after these practices and have a good qualifying on Saturday, and then we'll focus on Sunday when it gets here.
Okay, we'll go Woody, Bob, Tom, Claire.
Woody came with MRN. AJ, with Daytona coming up next week, 4th of July and all that, a lot of changes to the track with all the Daytona Rising stuff. But I was curious if you, before you got into this crazy world and were racing all the time on the 4th of July, if you have any memories growing up of how you guys celebrated 4th of July or fun times you might have had doing that.
Yeah, as growing up with just my parents, we were at a racetrack somewhere on the 4th of July. It was always a go-kart race somewhere, getting ready. Watching the Sprint Cup Series, whether it was when they were running on the 4th of July or just the weekend itself. I always loved that Saturday night race. Now it'll be a Sunday night race. But, my biggest memories is always being at a go-kart track and on a Saturday night having fireworks shoot off and kind of a big barbecue that we always had at the track with all the parents and us kids running around and playing. So kind of no different. Still racing, and kind of the same thing, just like Memorial Day is just remembering how fortunate we are of why we get to do this and what the sacrifices are of why we get to do this and why we're here. So always trying to keep that in mind and remembering that it's just racing. We're there to have fun.
Bob?
Bob Pockris, ESPN. The last 8 winners here, it was their first Cup road course win. Is there something about this track or the strategy here or the way it races that has allowed for that?
I think with this place, different than Watkins Glen, tires come into play a lot. Strategy, when that yellow flag falls, getting tires is really important at the right time. So I think if you look at here compared to a Watkins Glen, it's not, I wouldn't say luck, but it's just the way yellows fall and the way strategy plays out. It can really shuffle the race. Watkins Glen, the race is kind of a flow of, okay, you can do it in 2 or 3 stops, but the tires aren't as important. They don't wear out as much. So it's a typical flow. You see the same cars up front throughout the course of a race. Here, a yellow at the wrong time, or you get a guy that gets tires when somebody doesn't, it can change the whole course of the race. And I think that's what we see a lot is just that strategy and stuff that goes on around this place. Aerodynamics aren't as important, so you get a little bit more beating and banging, so you get guys running into each other, spinning each other out, so that can change the course of the race. So, yeah, it's definitely a different race compared to Watkins Glen, and I think that's why you've seen so many different winners here.
Okay, we'll go Tom, then back to Claire.
Hi, AJ. Tom Fitzgerald, San Francisco Chronicle. Welcome back, and I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about, as another Northern California driver about the impact that Jeff Gordon has had on your career.
Yeah, I mean, it's especially when it comes to the Sprint Cup Series. I think seeing, when I was always a big Jeff Gordon fan. My dad, even when I was really young, would tell me stories about going out and watching him at the sprint car races, Ascot and Baylands and those types of places on the dirt tracks, and just seeing this 14, 15-year-old kid sitting on phone books in a sprint car taking it to all the big guys. And that's where I became a Jeff Gordon fan, was sprint car racing, watching him on Thursday and Saturday Night Thunder. But I think if you really look at the Sprint Cup Series and what he's done for it, the time he came in, it was more of a Southern sport, kind of led by guys, the Dale Earnhardt Seniors, the Rusty Wallaces, the Darrell Waltrips, and this kid that came from California and was kind of young and brash and came into the sport. I think changed it in so many ways and, made guys like me that weren't from the South say, okay, maybe we can get our foot in the door and get there. So Jeff's done so much. I feel so fortunate to have raced against him, to be able to call him as a friend that's helped me through some difficult times, and to be able to talk to a guy that I know has no motives. He's just going to tell you how it is and the right and the wrong and the good and the bad. So he's just it's meant a lot for all of us to have him in the sport. But for me, I mean, he was my racing hero growing up. And to be able to say I've raced against Jeff Gordon, I never thought it happened when I had all of his posters in my room. So it's cool to see everything that he's done. And, I hope he has a strong weekend at a home race. I hope he finishes second, honestly. So good luck to him. It'd be awesome.
Good deal. We'll go back to Claire.
Clemmy Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. I talked to a lot of drivers this week, inexperienced and experienced here. The inexperienced say we got to keep the 4 tires, on the course, and they keep repeating that. For you, talking about the teams being a lot alike and people have gotten better at road course racing, talk about the need for aggressiveness here and those who are willing to go beyond a little bit to race this race, maybe the difference here.
Yeah, this place is, I think, it's a place where you have to be aggressive, but it's a careful aggressiveness at times. At the end of the race, kind of all bets are off. But as I said, the aerodynamics on these race cars aren't as important around here. I mean, the speeds aren't very high in general, say to a place like Watkins Glen. But you definitely have to stay on the racetrack, and especially when it gets hot here, if you miss your apex by a foot and a half, the car never stops. It just keeps sliding through the corner. So you got to be aggressive, but you can't overdrive the car because it's easy to really tear the tires up and either lock a front tire up into the corner, or especially trying to be aggressive, get around a guy and burn the rear tires up. I mean, that's something that's really hard here in the sense of you can be fast for 5 or 10 laps. You can be the fastest car on the racetrack, but if you're doing it by overdriving, using the car up and using the tires, those next 25 laps in the run are going to hurt. So it's a fine balance around here. It's like a short track in general for a road course. I look at Watkins Glen like almost a mile and a half or a speedway, a lot faster. But it's definitely an interesting place when it comes to how aggressive to be compared to just making sure you hit your marks and staying on the racetrack.
AJ, good luck out there this weekend being carefully aggressive.
Yeah.
And we'll see you.
Thank you, guys.